Hi, my name is Lauren Cruz, and today I'm going to be demonstrating a drawing technique called Chiaroscuro. It comes from the Italian phrase meaning light and shade, and it's a really great technique if you're trying to get a very dramatic effect and create volume with the objects that you're drawing. Now you can draw any object in this way, but today we're going to be drawing a sphere. So I think that's just a really nice, basic, simple shape to start with. And you may have seen chiaroscuro drawings done before, but today I'm going to demonstrate it in the technique called reductive drawing, which means that you have a neutral base and then you take away pigment using an eraser. So the materials you're going to need is paper. This is newsprint. You can use any type of paper you want, but I would suggest if you're going to want to use your work for display, I would use something a little nicer than newsprint. This is just more for practice right now, so that's what I'm using because it's a little cheaper. So the other things you're going to need are your drawing utensils. I'm using willow charcoal. This does not adhere well to the paper, but it goes on really dark, as you can see here. It comes off very easily too. So it's really nice charcoal to use if you're going to be doing reductive drawing. And then we're also using compressed charcoal. This is better for finishing touches because it isn't as easily removed, but it goes on even darker. So you can see I'm having a little bit of a harder time taking it off. It's still possible, but. And then also we're going to be using a kneaded eraser. This is really nice because it has whatever shape you want to make it into. So you can create really thin lines or use it as a really large area to press down, and it picks up the pigment pretty well. And then you're going to want something to blend with. I like to use rags, or this is a chamois. I would suggest using a chamois if you're going to be drawing a lot. It's really nice for blending, and you don't want to use your finger. I know I used to do that when I was younger, but it really is true that the paper picks up the oils from your finger, and you end up seeing your fingerprints all over it. So I would highly recommend you don't do that. And let's get started. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to want to blacken your paper. And this creates a nice neutral tone in the back, which you're going to want if you're creating a dramatic drawing. And you can make it any lightness or darkness that you want. I really like the dark shade because it's a little bit easier to create a more dramatic effect that way. And also the compressed charcoal still shows up pretty well on top of this. Alright, we're about done with that. And now we're going to move on to using your kneaded eraser. And you can choose where the light is coming from. Because I don't actually have an object sitting here that I'm going off of, I can just make it up. So I want the light to come from the top left of the object. So I'm going to create the main highlight, or the brightest highlight right here at the top of the sphere. And then I'm going to go around that and push a little lightly on this part so as not to remove all of the pigment, because you still want that really light highlight to be there. And this is also going to be the light part of the object, or the highlight. And you don't have to be perfect at this point. You can always go back, which is one really nice aspect of using vine charcoal. So we're done with the highlights about, or pretty close. So then I'm going to show you the next step, which is creating the shadow of the object. You're going to take your compressed charcoal and it's going to be on the exact opposite end of the object. This creates the volume, makes it look 3D. And it's a little bit smaller. Takes up a little bit less of the space than the highlights do. Alright, now as you can see, this isn't a complete circle. And that's because I haven't added what's called the reflective light. Now what the reflective light is, when light shines on an object and then it bounces off of the surface, it bounces back onto the object at the bottom. So I'm going to create the reflective light right here, and it's not going to be as light as this area right here, but it's still going to be lighter than the shadow. Alright, so I made it a little too light up here, so I'm going to darken it a little bit more. And it's pretty good there. Alright, so it's not perfect, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect right away, like I said. It takes a little while. Then we're going to draw the cast shadow. It's the shadow that's cast by the extreme lighting, which always starts at the very bottom of the object, and it's the darkest at that point. And it gets a little bit lighter. And imagine light's coming from here, and that would make the cast shadow more like this shape, like an ellipse. And it's only going to be on this side because the light's coming from the left. So the shadow's going to be going to the right. So as I said, here's a nice ellipse shape, a little darker by the object. And a little lighter out here. So that's pretty good, but I'm not going to get too detailed with this drawing because actually I just pulled this out of the oven and it's a nicely baked drawing for you. Just get in and actually bake it, so don't do that because it would burn. So this is the completed drawing, and as you can see, here's the highlight and the shadows, the reflected light, and the cast shadow. And you can do this with any object you want. It's really fun to just work with the reductive drawing and just see all the different things you can do. And I hope you enjoyed this and have fun drawing.